Guess it's 1:30 now, so I can start the show, or the EDU on Air conference, which I want to definitely thank Google and Tia for this. This has been a great opportunity, and I think this conference, the way it's been going, has been a great group. I did invite anybody who had said they were going to be watching this into the Hangout. We have, I think, 10 to 15 slots. So if you want, I'm going to be following the Google Plus feed of the event. Go ahead and post in there any comments or questions, and might as well get going. My name is Bjorn Barrett. I'm the IT coordinator here in Fairhaven, Vermont, in a school in Vermont. We went one-to-one this past year, and unlike in my role, we've had an integrationist, and he's been great with working with the teachers. But there's a whole nother part of this, and that's the administrative side of creating the culture in the school. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, and turn it into some of the workflows that I wrote or used, which turned out to be a lot of add-ons. And I wanted to showcase those today in getting this one-to-one working all the way from the students to the administration. So coming on to this, one of the things that we did, the principal was on board, everybody was on board with going with the one-to-one. But this past summer, I approached the principal and told him that what we are going to be, that I think the teachers were all set. They've been using Google Apps for 1 year, but I was having a little trouble just really getting the office staff and guidance and all these other groups that weren't directly related to the students, weren't direct contacts with the students, to really adopt this. So the integrationist was going around telling all the teachers, here's Google Docs, here's how you share it, and then all of a sudden they get an email from the office with a Word document asking for revisions and updates. And the teachers are looking, well, why wouldn't this make a good Google Doc? So that's when I went to the principal and said, okay, I need your help with getting your staff, their office staff, and all the other departments that aren't teachers to really adopt using the workflows. And it was overnight. He went through and said, okay, all faculty meetings, I'm sending out Google Docs. He went through, and I started working with the office staff to change all the documents, such as purchase orders, sick days, any of those documents that we converted to try and do some digital workflow. Now, if you want to follow along with what I am doing, please go to my blog. It's called edlisten.com. And let me post that up on the social network here. Say something. Okay. Link to the show's materials. So on the social network, you can also go to edlisten.com, and you'll notice, at least at the moment of me recording this, until I make a new blog post, the top post is basically going to be the links and things I'm going to go over. So the first thing I wanted to talk, so we went through, and I'm actually going to show this, so we can kind of go through this, and screen share. It's a really nice day out, so I'm not surprised. And just going to show this off. And I'm going to share. There's that screen. Now I got to bring that up. So what you're looking at here is my website, EdListen. It's my blog where I keep things updated. I used to host a podcast on a regular basis. I haven't done that this past year, but I hope to bring that back up this year. And I just had my first little session here, signing up, and you and technology and the battle we all face. That was a good representation of what's going on. And like I said, I'm trying to focus on the more the administrative side, not the teacher-student end of things. As I talked about before, it's about getting everybody on board. I started with the office staff and the administration and tried to say, okay, the communications happen between you and the teachers need to be reflective of what we're asking the teachers to have the same type of communication with the students. So that meant changing a lot of the workflows. And the other thing I always put is you giving the teachers really a year. We didn't put any expectations on them. We just said, here, experiment. Here's the one-to-one. Next year, I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have more. We're going to be looking for these lesson plans. We're going to be asking teachers, how are you using it? But let me just kind of go through the things that I went through. So one of the first things that I had to do was computer labs. We had this last year. We had our actual labs, and people can go to them, sign them out, and they were used quite often. And I had a nicer system set up. We were paying for it, but I wanted something that was going to be simpler and also reflective of Google Apps and the way that we were using it with that. And that's when I actually wrote this little lab scheduler add-on. So let me go up. Here's an example. So here's the schedule that we have. This is just an example schedule. I'm trying not to use any of our live data on this thing. But across the bottom, you have a Windows lab, you have a Mac lab, and then this keeps a daily log of who signed it out. So just trying to check the plus speed. And going through here, the way this add-on works is it basically keeps adding a day at the end and taking away the day right here and moving it to the log. And it'll keep a log of all the different ones that we have. And teachers, this is shared with edit rights to all the teachers, and they just kind of fill in their name. So if Connor wanted Monday the 18th, period 2, hit enter. The other reason why I really went to this is because I wanted to get away from specific times. I've always ran into problems with I deal with times. Teachers know period 2, period 3, but on Wednesdays, period 2 starts at this time, and on Thursdays it starts at this time. Oh, maybe 2 weeks down the line, you may not know that we have an assembly, so their times kind of get shifted, where one person may know this, so they sign up, and the other person didn't. I wanted to get away from it. Simple was better. Simple, free. So this add-on is called Lab Scheduler. And you can always get add-ons by opening up any spreadsheet, going to Add-ons, click Get Add-ons, and each spreadsheets, forms, and Google Docs all have their own add-ons. And you can search up here. This is going to be Lab Scheduler. Right here. I already have it installed. So you click Manage, Install. Once installed, it'll show up on this list. Obviously, I have quite a few of them in here. Like I said, we do a lot of different workflows. And how this works is once it's up, let me start off with a new blank spreadsheet. And this will be the example. So I'm going to go to Add-ons, Lab Scheduler, Add a Lab. You want to give it a name, so this might be the Windows lab, the Mac lab. Like I said, we're one-to-one, so I try and have that's the primary device all the students use, but there are times where teachers need a little bit more resources than what can be offered through a Chromebook, so that's why we have these spotty labs with software that is specific for it. Our school actually doesn't have a Mac lab, we have a Windows lab, but that is one of the things we would like to have. Number of days to maintain, we can do 360 if you wanted to do a full year. I'm currently working on one where you can set an end date, so you can say, till June 15th when our school ends. In this case, just for time-wise, I'm just going to say 10 days. So if you wanted, 2 weeks, so let's say 12 days. Boy, I can not do 14 days. periods that we have period 1, so period 1, add, period 2, add, 3, add, 5, add. Okay, I actually purposely mistyped some of these things because I wanted to highlight some of the features of here. So once you put in the things, we have period 1, period 2, period 3, period, oh, this is out of order. So what you can do is you can actually take it and drag it where it needs to go. Period 5, I messed up on that, so I'm actually going to hit the X right there, and then I'm going to fix it. Add. I can probably do the same for 1 and 2. Might as well, since we're just recording this. Hitting the X. Period 1. Two. And I'm going to drag that up. And I'm going to drag that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to say this is default for any new labs. I'm going to add. So this is adding up while we are going. And what you see now is that there is, I'm sorry, I was moving my thing around so this changed sizes. Just trying to look to see if anybody was posting. So what it did is it added the days in. We're on a weekend, so that's why it started with a dash here. Mondays, it goes down through the week, puts a dash for the weekend, goes down through right to the end. At this point, I would give it a name and share it with the staff or put it in a shared staff folder. And all they do is put the names in there. If we have another lab, we just go back to the add-on, Lab Scheduler, Add Lab. It keeps the defaults that you had before. Obviously, normally, if you have multiple labs, you would have the same lab schedule. So, give my lab again. So let's make this the Windows lab. So we have the Mac lab, we have the Windows lab. And people can just go through, put in the times that they need. BJ, Sue, Tom. Oops. And that keeps a record of their lab for signing at the lab. Simple, easy, uses the same workflow that we're asking teachers to also use. So moving on, so that's our lab schedule, and that was one of the add-ons that I did write. You can get these add-ons by going to Edlisten Scripts, which is scripts.edlisten.com. Right here, and I have my cell tools. We have Lab Scheduler. Like I said, you can also search for it, but these are all the ones that I have specifically written. So moving ahead on our journey, the other thing that we found out we needed to do, that was for our labs, but we also needed a check-in, check-out system. And that's where my add-on CheckItOut, where I wrote that one. So here is an example CheckItOut form that we were using. I'm just going to quickly check to see if anybody's posting on the event page. If also, you can just kind of tag Bjorn Barrett, and you can see it too. And so while here, if I have someone who is signing this thing out, in this case, let's say Torrance here is coming back with a spare. I'm just going to click on this one, check it in, hit submit. That was Sparrow 2. I do have to wait a couple seconds for it to go through, and I'll explain that a little bit later. And now Sparrow 2 becomes an available checkout spare Chromebooks option. Let's check in another one. Good. Wait a few seconds. You basically have to wait a few seconds because it takes a little bit of time for it to process. So if you go right back, it doesn't look like it did anything, and you'd have to keep hitting refresh. But let's say I want to check one out now. So I'm going to hit Bjorn Barent, and I'm going to check out number 4. I'm going to hit submit. Again, I'm going to wait just a little bit for it to process, and then I'm kind of going to go back. And you'll notice that spare 4 is now checked out by me. The option to have the names append to the end is just an option. You don't have to do that. But it's a really cool way to get things checked in and checked out using Google Forms. So how does this work on the other side of things? So here's the results of this. You can see Bjorn Barent checked out spare 4 on this date. So you do have the complete log of it. I am working on getting some reporting on the spreadsheet end of things, but right now it's just a form add-on. So if we were going to start off new with this one, Drive, I have a temp folder here, so we'll just kind of go to that one. New, more, Google Form. It's up to you whether you want to require someone from your district to be logged in. And you can give it, to check out cameras. And we're going to say basically your name. And your name is just going to be a text box. That's fine. That's just one simple way that we want the reporting. Now I'm going to go to add-ons. And like I said, we can get more add-ons and search for Check It Out, no spaces. Right there. In this case, and then it'll show up right here once you have it installed. I'm going to add edit question set. If you have ones that are already there, you can click this and it will pre-populate. You can give it a different item, so this is going to be cameras. And now I can choose. I can do checkbox, list, multiple choice. Checkboxes is nice if there are going to be multiple items that they're going to be checking in and out. Choose from a list. Very recently, thanks to Sean Beavers, who I'm hoping is going to watch this at some point, is text fields. So if you check out items via barcode, and you can have a text field, and then it goes straight to a multiple choice, to list box, or checkbox to check them back in, which is nice. I did do that so they could append the name still. If not, you could just check in, check out like you would normally with 2 text boxes. But here, let's go for checkboxes. It allows you to set the text that you want for when everything is out. So all items, you can change the word items to camera if you so choose, however is appropriate for your situation. Now what it does is it will, once I hit add, it adds 2 questions to your thing. Check out and check in. Under checkout is where you just kind of put your items. So camera 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 cameras. And if I go to the live form, I can put my name in here, or whoever's taking this out. I'm going to take out camera 1 and camera 3. I'm going to hit submit. Again, I'm just going to wait just a little bit for this to process. Good time to check the Google Plus feed, see if anybody's making any comments. Again, I'm looking for the feed on the event itself. and submit another one. And you notice that the cameras 1 and 3 has moved down to check in camera. So those are the ones when somebody else comes in, they're just going to hit check. I'm checking in camera 1, but they're going to keep camera 3 out and submit another response. It moves back and forth. Now, how about adding those names to the end? Because that was one of the very first requests that somebody had once I published it, and I didn't even think of it. It was really nice. So I'm going to go check it out, and I've added some preferences. A couple things for the preferences. I mentioned that there is some processing time with this. Once you hit submit, anything that has on-form submit, so my Choice Eliminator add-on is also subject to the same thing. But I let people know how long your form took to process. So for me, once I hit submit, it took just over a second for it to completely process and move everything in. Anything that happened, any submissions that happen at the same exact time or within that just over a second, it could kind of give some missed results. But I have an append name, so I can click append name, and then it gives me a list of the different questions in there. I'm actually going to append your name. I'm going to hit save. And now when I go to the live form, append the name, I'm going to check out camera 2 and camera 4. I'm going to hit submit. I'm going to wait that just over a second for it to process. Submit another response. And there you go. It appends the name to it. I had something going really good for reporting until I started adding the append name, which added another layer of complexity to the reporting on the spreadsheet end of it. But that is how we're checking out our spares. Really easy, really simple. Again, uses the workflow that we're asking teachers to use in the classroom. So moving along, and if anybody's watching live, please don't hesitate to try and ping me, and I will do my best to actually invite you in here with me so you can talk and such. Now, the next one, let's check it out. Also with CheckItOut spares, I put in fuzzy matches add-on. I love this little add-on. So if I look at my form results, and I kind of go down here, and I notice that Carolyn, who is CarolynInEyn, so it was spelled several different ways. And if I want to try and pull a report, and I've used fuzzy matches several different times. I think I did use it when I'm trying to do reporting on here. I can't say show me everyone that's just Carolyn. And I wanted to kind of combine those. That's what fuzzy matches does, and I love it. So we're going to go to add-ons. We're going to go to find fuzzy matches. I'm going to hit start. Okay. Max number of characters different. So it's going to look through this this column, which I clicked on just before I opened it. Nope, we don't have any delimiters here. Minimum number of characters in a word cell. So it's just looking for the minimum. So I'm going to search for typos. And it found all the different versions that I had of Carolyn. And what I just need to do is I'm going to hit the checkbox and say, this is the correct way to spell it. So it changes all the different values that it found. YN, IN, YN. And I'm going to hit apply. Now it actually only changed one. It got the Carolyn IN one, but it missed the Caroline. So I'm going to go to a new search, but I'm going to change the max characters to 2. And then I'm going to search for typos. Hey, now it found all the Carolyns, including the Caroline, because the Caroline's 2 things off. So I'm going to hit the checkbox, and this is the correct spelling. I'm going to hit apply, and let's go down through. Now that I have all my Carolyns in there, I can start doing some filtering. I can start looking at things. So that is a really quick way to, when you're getting a text box field, and some students, some of them are capital, some of them aren't, some of them, you can actually quickly see ways to, just to organize your data and get things looking correctly and uniform. Especially with text boxes, that's really hard to do. So moving along, so that's fuzzy matches. Activity schedule. I love our activity schedule. This was something I started last year. We have a on our website. So fhuhs.org. Coming down here, we have our activity schedule. And if I click this activity schedule, it shows me the activities for the next 7 days. It shows me the activities for today, or all events. So this is just a simple spreadsheet, and what we're using is actually formulas. So you can look, we have some a filter formula up here that is going down through, that is just looking at this raw data and then giving us the next 7 days and today for information. Works out really good. My athletic director loves this. We also have a kiosk in our lobby, and I have it always showing the today's events. So this is just a public version of this one. So our lobby shows the today's events, and I don't have to touch it. And this is not even an add-on. This is just pure filters and setting those up. So in here, I have a blog post that I wrote on EdListen, a lot farther along. I think, when is this? October 2014 is when I wrote the post, talking about queries and filters. And I show you how to use the filter button, which you can go up there, but there's also a formula for filter. And then there's also a formula for query, and each of them have their own advantages and disadvantages. But that little post should help you a little bit on how those things work. So there's the example, and there's 2 ways to do it: filters and queries. Filters takes all the data. You have every single one of your columns, and then you just filter them using a formula. Query uses actually MSQL syntax, so it's sometimes a little harder to write out. It's not as intuitive, but it allows you to specify certain columns that you wanted to, plus add a filter to those columns. So that's a really nice tool. And coming down through, when I get to forms with lots of data, I have an easy query that I wrote. But this is just kind of typing them out. So I have 2 examples. One is using the EDU on air with the query. Same concept. It has, oh, looks like I was still working on these things. So here's all the events. Here's today, and I was using query function, my easy query for that. The next 7 days, looks like I was still working on some of those in the filter. But these can give you some examples. So if you look at this, it's all events 1 through 100,000. So 100,000 rows. And this one says select star where A equals today. And this 1 means show the headings. Basically, what I could do, if I just wanted to say, show me, let's exclude the end date. So A, B, and D. Let's just see A, B, and D. Instead of the select star, I can select A, comma, B, comma, D. So columns A, B, and D. And A, B, D. Or today. Do I have events for today? Yeah, I do. Okay. There's always little tiny quirks that go with these things, but go back to star. I guess it wants to be a little bit of a pain right now, but that's the idea where you can specify the columns. And we're going to get more into that. This is why I wrote this is kind of a little quirky. It's just why I wrote the add-on easy query that simplifies this process quite a bit. I found the filter works really well. It's what I was using. And go back to the FHUHS ones. You notice how it says all events and then where the date equals now. Actually, let me go to the today. It's a little bit simpler to look at. Where the date value is now, so today's date, the date value. So anything where this column A has today's date, it will show only those events. So the filter is a really nice tool for that reason. So moving along. So now that I've got the activity schedule down, I have I have several different things, the sign-outs in there. Another one I created is called parent-teacher conferences. We don't actually use this in our school. I wrote this choice eliminator to help me out when I was doing my podcast and scheduling and booking people to sign up. So I had my podcast every Thursday at 3, and rather than trying to go back and forth and say, hey, can you pick a day? How does this one work? How does that one work? I sent them a Google form, and it had all of my open Thursday slots, and they could pick the one they wanted, and they sent it out. It worked out really well when I was doing that because a lot of times I would send out the invites to 4 or 5 different people to say, hey, can you come on to the show? Thank you for agreeing to come on to the show. Can you pick out your day? And so they would just fill it out, and that way I didn't have to worry, like, oh my goodness, I sent it out to 4 people. One of them picked that day, then the second person wanted that same day that I told them was available. This was a great way to just kind of streamline that process. A lot of teachers have decided to use this for parent-teacher conferences. So that's the choice eliminator. And I'll show you how that works. So we're going to new, and choice eliminator is a form add-on. So I'm going to go to forms. And let's say I want a parent-teacher conference. Click OK. We don't want to require this. And we have the first question. I'm going to say pick a time. So parent-teacher conference, I want to pick or available times. Pick a time. Yep. Multiple choice. So 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and so on. I mean, it doesn't have to be crazy. But right now, I want this to disappear. I want, once a parent chooses a time, actually, that reminds me, I probably want to add a time, a text box saying, parent name. So we have the parent name, and we have a pick a time. Now, if I just go to the live form, and I put in my name, BJ, and pick 1 o'clock, and then wait a second, go back to there, it doesn't disappear. It's there again, so somebody else could pick the same time. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to add-ons, and we're going to run the choice eliminator add-on, and I'm going to hit start. What this does is it goes down through, and it says pick a time, and literally it'll show all the different questions that are a multiple choice, a multiple choice, a list, or checkbox. So if I had another question in here, let's say a checkbox is Please indicate, let's say math, reading, playtime. What is flipped classroom? Yeah, we'll throw a little educational thing in there. So we're going to go through and actually, if I was really doing this, Common Core and Common Core math and all those fun things. Okay, so now a parent could fill out these items. If I go to add-ons, choice eliminator, hit start, it shows me the two options. Obviously, I don't want these to go away. I want parents, as they fill them out, to be able to select all of them. So I'm not going to check anything there. But if I go to pick a time, this one I do want to eliminate. So I'm just going to hit eliminate choices. I'll show you what choice options are in a second. These things are set to required, so it has to be a required one. And I'll show you a little trick as if you want it to be an option that can be skipped. So you don't have to hit save, don't have to hit anything else. It automatically saves once you hit that. So I'm just going to hit close. And I'm going to view the live form. I'm going to say, my name is Bjorn Barent. And I want the 2 o'clock time slot. I'm interested in what is the flipped classroom and playtime. I think those are important to me. I'm going to hit submit. Again, just like my other form add-ons, there is a time delay that you have to wait. So this is not the best tool if you're in a classroom and you give it out and say pick a topic, and you tell the students, okay, it's a race, you first come first serve. Here's the link, boom, go. Because a lot of them will click that, and in that situation, it'll be selected right away. So you have to give it a little bit of time. And what you notice is that my 2 o'clock time slot is now missing. It's just taken away. And these are still there. If I look at the results, you see the 1 o'clock one that I put in there before I did the choice eliminator, and here's the 2 o'clock that I put in with my other options right there. And I could eliminate all the way down to there. If I go in to, oops, I want to go into the form here. Add-ons, choice eliminator, hit start. And at some point, choice options. Oh, I guess I didn't put the time in yet. Yeah. At some point, I was going to put the time it took. It's usually it's a couple seconds per thing, about maybe a second per thing. I usually say 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds is a good wait time. So I'm going to keep on going through. But maybe I have, well, actually, I'll just give another. So I'm going to go down through, pick time, these things. I'm going to add another question. I'm going to add choose from a list, and maybe prizes. And the prizes, I have 2 of each prize. So let's say I have a prize of markers, and I have scissors. I have no idea how to spell scissors. Thank goodness for Google spell check. S-I-S-C-I. I can code, but I can't spell. So I have 2 prizes, and let's say I have 2 of each of these. I have 2 sets of markers and 2 sets of scissors. What I'm going to do. So I'm going to want someone to pick a prize. Prizes. Like This is also good for conferences where I have 25 slots open. So please, if you were coming in, I have 3 slots open, or 3 1 o'clock slots open. I guess I could change the pick a time, but let's do it with the prizes and go along with that one. So choice eliminator, start. We should see now a prizes option. Did I miss it? There we go. Prizes. I'm going to eliminate the prizes, and I'm going to go to the choice options, and you'll see right here, I can specify how many things I have. So I have, let's say, 2 markers, and actually probably 2 scissors and 3 markers. Not 23. I'm going to hit save. Close this. Kind of refresh the page here. So now I have the prizes one. I'm going to pick a time. I have 1 o'clock. I'm math reading, my name. And I'm going to choose scissors. And I hit submit. Wait a couple seconds. Hit submit again. If I look here, scissors are still available even though I hit the checkbox. But I'm going to go back to the form. Okay, don't know what that is, but I'm just going to dismiss it. And I'm going to go to choice eliminator. I'm going to hit start again. I'm going to go to prizes, and I'm going to go to choice options. And what we'll see here is that scissors has a count of 1. Close. And let's kind of go through some more data. More times. 3. Math reading. Markers. Submit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I did markers, didn't move. I'm going to go scissors. So this should be it for scissors. So I have to pick a time. So I'm going to wait, submit another response. Now if I look down here, eat my words, it's missing. It's missing. That was an example of me going back into the form before it finished processing. So markers is still available, but scissors has disappeared from the options. And it is completely disappeared. So if I go to choice options up here, it's not going to look at the choices. There's still one more marker that has a total count of 3. I can up this. So that's a really cool way to do it. To pick a time, if I wanted to put a skip in here. So because this is a required field, I can add a skip, go to pick a time, choice options, and then I take that skip and make like 100 or 1,000, hit save. So that skip, if it keeps getting skipped, you just will go right up to that full amount. So that's the parent-teacher conferences. Choice eliminator. We have autoCrat, and copy down was one that I used quite a bit. And I'm going to come back to that because I'm actually running up on more time, because I really do want to show my other one that is Easy Query. autoCrat is not one that I wrote myself. It's one that made by Andrew Stillman. Really, it's basically a mail merge. So anytime you'd use a mail merge, I use this, let's see, our template report for our incident reports. So this is our template for our incident reports that we use. We have the incident row number. It takes the timestamp. That row number allows me to do have a unique number for every incident in the report. Pulls in the student name, the Chromebook number, the issue, the payment due, whether we signed it off. So I fill this out, shows all the information about it. This report gets emailed to the student. We print one out, send it to the parents. Then we also go to, let's see, where else does it go to? So parents, it goes to the administration, so they get a copy of this. So this report, it really becomes a a nice indication of what is going out. It's a nice paper trail that we have put into place. The add-ons I use is autoCrat and then copy down. Copy down is one that I use for a formula. So that's where this data set comes in here. So this is fake information, by the way. But you can see where it has a unique number. I just use the formula equals row, but as you're filling out a form, it doesn't auto-populate automatically when you have an extra field like that, even if you bring the information down. So that's where the copy down here. So I have it turned on. It's grabbing formula rows 2. It knows the formula is this, and then paste as value. So it goes down through, it finds the formulas, and just continually paste them in there every single time it's submitted, which is a really nice addition there. So going down through, like I said, autoCrat, I'm going to let others show that off and how to do it. There's plenty of YouTube videos on it. I use autoCrat quite a bit. We have our field trip request form. So we have, I do this, this is a really nice workflow to use, where you're going down through and you're hitting, you have a printed form that can be printed out and used, but then I also do a online version of it. So this is an online version of it, not pretty, but once you go down through and you submit it, this will use autoCrat, and all these teacher's name, group name, and everything else will get replaced with the fields that were done with the form. So we get the same exact form and the way it looks and everything else, but it's submitted digitally. So, and then this automatically gets emailed to the people. It's not handwritten; it's actual digital. So those little dates can be actually seen. I've done this with our homework success referral form. The same process where a teacher will be able to give this information out, and it goes to our homework success person. Another one that I do, like our letterheads and stuff like that. Notice how I clicked on this and it automatically brought me to make a copy. Really, really cool tip. Any Google document, Google spreadsheet, possibly sheets, or possibly slides, you can change it so if you send out a URL, it will force it to make a copy. The only disadvantage of this is that it doesn't work when you put the document in a shared folder and the person clicks on it, then they'll have to go to File, make a copy. But if you're sending out a URL and say, here, I want you to have a copy of this one, or here's our document, and you want people, or here's the form, they click it, they have to make their own copy right away from the website. There's a little trick, and that is get the document, and up top, so let me just create a new document, new document. Okay. Up here, there's that big, long URL right here. And at the very end of it, it says /edit. First thing I have to make sure is that this is a public document, because I can't, if it's not public, it doesn't matter whether you put the copy on there or not, it's not going to be seen. So I'm going to change this to just anyone with the link. Again, this link right here, if I could click on the end and go to the end, or just copy link, done. I'm just going to paste it. Notice how it has /edit you to be sharing. If I hit enter right now, it'll go straight to the document. Exactly what you would normally be doing with this. But in this case, and here's an infographic that someone created specifying, you link to share, hit copy, and it has the edit colon there. And what you want to do is change that the ending result of that, and just put the word copy in there. So I'm going to go back to hit paste. And this back section here, I'm going to change that last thing after the slash and say copy. And then I'm going to hit enter. That brings me to this document where then it forces me to make a copy. Really, really handy. That's force make a copy. Moving down, so we do that for letterheads or purchase orders, many of the other ones. I'm sure there are some documents that are public facing that we want people to just make a copy of. Forms with a lot of data. This is another thing that we just wrote. We've done a lot of forms and they come in and it's just filled up with data. Here's a data set. Here's an example data set. It's just names, company names, all types of things. Who knows what else? I guess it's the same one that I was using the copy down with. And websites. And sometimes people only need to see a small portion of that. Sometimes they need to see less and more. So one of the things that I put in here that we started doing, because we do have one of these forms for collecting some student information from teachers, and you have to specify if you're a teacher, if you're a teacher or an administrator, and then sometimes you only want specific information about a particular student, but they don't need all 20 fields. There are 20 fields. If you're an admin, you have to fill out certain questions. If you're a teacher, you have other questions. So while the form itself is pretty easy for the end user, the data is just 20 questions long. Only a few of them are important to certain people. So that's where I kind of go down through, and I'm going to use Easy Query. This is one of my latest ones that I wrote. So the Easy Query basically looks at whatever sheet you're working on. So right now I'm working on Form Responses 1. And I want, let's say, Ohio and California. So I just want to see the information for Ohio and California. So that's a simple filter. We talked about that before. We can be a formula. But this is where it really is nice in the query function is I don't need all the information. I don't need their phone number. So maybe I just want their company name, which happens to be column D. And I want, well, let's see, we'll put an H in there just so we can see that we got the right places. Although it doesn't either. And let's say their website, which happens to be N. So I want just those three. And then I want the filter. So this is where I kind of go back through and I set up the filters. I'm going to hit plus. Where column actually H is equal to OH. I'm going to add that. And I could do and, but we don't need it to be both. In this case, we want it to actually be or. H is equal to CA. So I want it to be, I'm going to add that. So where H is equal to OH or H is equal to CA. So one of those two things. I also put a link to more information if we want to know more. I'm going to hit create. And what it does is it created a second sheet with the information, put it in there. It has the headings on the top. It'll have all the information you want here, and it will stay up to date. So if there is another one here, let's see, I got 1, 2, 3 Ohios, 4 Californias. If I go here and I say, oops, this Tennessee happens to be OH, so that was line 19. Go here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it automatically updated in live time. So it's not on edit, which is really nice. It doesn't take any resources. It's not like it needs to refresh. It's not a script. It's just this formula. And the add-on Easy Query is something that will easily make that query for you. Okay. I have Save as Doc was another one that I used. So once I have this one, we have all these data sets. The teachers wanted it easier to read. So like even this one was kind of, if they're seeing this, they still, maybe this has a lot of text in it. The other one that I used, this was not one that I wrote, but it's one that I've used, is Save as Doc, which will look at all these things. I'm going to add a paragraph break after these there. I want column headings to be like heading number 3. And I'm going to hit Save as Doc. And what that does is that quickly, very quickly, creates a version of the document. Maybe I did something wrong here. First row selection headings, company name. Oh, I had to select everything. Oops. Select all data. They have a little select all data. So once I have all the data selected, now I'm going to use Save as Doc. I'm going to open up the doc. So company name, this one's from Ohio, and then it's going to go to the next page. It has this one's from Ohio. This one's the one from California. Here's this one. So it took all that data and very quickly separated it out into each thing, a single page with the questions viewable. So that was huge in our school because the teachers hated looking at the spreadsheet version of the data because it was a lot of text body and they needed it to be converted to easily be seen. So the Save as Doc is something that saved us a lot of time in working with it. And last one was fuzzy matches, what I talked about. So we had the easy query. Again, my website's EdListen. Let me kind of get back out of here and stop sharing so you can see me again in my workspace. It actually looks cooler if you turn it around because I have a really nice monitor that I'm looking at. And so I wanted to thank everybody for attending my EDU on Air session. This is creating a culture, and I said Google Apps add-on slam, so I went through a lot of the add-ons that I've used for creating the culture in our school for the one-to-one, and I've hopefully this will be very helpful to you. So thank you very much, and don't hesitate to ping me on Google+. Follow me on Google+, and just do plus Bjorn Barent. Got a pretty unique name. I found one other person with my name, and I do believe he's on Google+ too. So if you're watching, Bjorn, hi. But thank you very much. And thank you very much, Google. This has been a great conference. I'm happy to be part of it again. I was happy to be part of it the past few years that you've run it, and great information. Thank you.